2017, in my opinion, was like, for me personally, it was the most memorable year ever. It was just, there were so many lessons that I learned, rather I wanted to learn, but I feel like, in particular, I worked way smarter. I didn't work harder. And it's crazy because when I sat down with my CPA, he was telling me that I actually worked less days, but I actually made way more. So I feel like what I focused on was like maximizing my days and making the most of my days instead of just stretching myself so thin and trying to fit everybody in. Another thing I changed was I wasn't as afraid to say no. You know, if something didn't work with my kid's schedule, if something didn't work out, I was like, you know what, I can't. However, I can see you then, or this day. And people get it, you know?
I was listening to something the other day that it takes courage to tell somebody no. Instead of people pleasing and wanting to take on so much on your schedule, it takes more courage to say no.
When I first started, I felt like I had to say yes. Blow dry me at like 10 o'clock, yes. At 7 a.m., yes. Can you cut my hair at this time? Yes. Do you work on Sundays? Yes. Like literally whatever they asked me, it was yes. But then I thought about that, and I think it was smart to be like that because it got them into the habit of thinking of me and thinking yes. So once I did their hair and I kind of got them like hooked, then they kind of worked with my program and my schedule.
I know that you were raised single mom.
Yes.
Working 3 to 4 jobs.
Yes.
Didn't really have anything that you wanted when you grew up. So now that's what's kind of,
you know, it's interesting because I have friends that grew up like the complete opposite, and I would always like envy them. I feel like since they had that crutch, it made them not work as hard.
Right.
And since like I don't have a dad to call, I don't have a mom to call to like help me out with, you know? So it was all on me. So I always felt like I had to work like extra hard.
Right.
I had to work like 3 times as hard as my friends that had like the master's degrees or the parents that were doctors and lawyers. Like, I don't have that.
And listen, I know people with, I think I told you this,
yeah,
with bachelor's, master's degrees that don't make as much as you make right now. Tell me that transition too, because there's a lot of struggling hairstylists that are probably barely making ends meet. So your transition to exceed 6 figures is kind of, I don't want to say unheard of, but it's not typical. So
to be honest, I have to really remind myself of that because my personality is I just kind of like bear down and like grind. I think because I grew up struggling and I grew up poor, I always still feel like I'm struggling and poor. When I bought my first house, I kind of felt like something's gonna fall through. Like they're gonna realize I don't deserve this somehow. I mean, I have a really close friend that's a doctor, and when she told me how much she made, I was kind of like shocked. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So I remember like years ago, one of my coworkers told me, he's like, you know what? Don't discount being a hairstylist or being in the, you know, in the beauty industry because we have an opportunity to make what all these people make. I mean, it's up to us. When you see Instagram and you know, it's easy to have, if you're cute and you're young and you're funny, you can have a lot of followers, but followers don't always coincide with money. What I remind people that ask me about what I do, I remind them that I've been doing this for 15 years. Yeah. Way before the gram, like way before. I was actually,
you didn't just pop up out of nowhere last year.
No. Like one of my clients actually was sitting in my chair at my other salon, and she's like, "Have you heard of Instagram?" I'm like, "No." Okay. And she asked me like, "Oh, like, give me your phone." She goes, "Tiff, I know you're not techie. Give me your phone. I'm gonna set you up an account." Yeah. Literally to this day, my client, I remember she's the one who started my Instagram. And I thought it was just like an app for like pictures. I had no idea like what it was and what it was gonna be. You know, you have to study. You have to like work really hard. I mean, I take classes like all over the world to up my game, to do hair amongst people that do hair differently because I don't know everything, you know? So when people ask me, I'm like, yeah, it's definitely worth it, but you gotta put in that time, you gotta put in that work. Yeah. You know, I remember when I was assisting, what I would do, and this is what worked for me, I would find a few different hairstylists. And I would choose a few different things from each person, and then I feel like I like merged that together. And I was like, okay, I like the way that he responds to his clients, I like the way they respond to him. I like the way she runs her program a certain way. I like fused it together and I came up with my own way of doing things.
So obviously hard work, right? Dedication, the 10,000 hour rule applies, but what else would you recommend?
I mean, I would tell them that, you know, don't spread yourself so thin. Don't try to do everything. I mean, when I first started, I did everything. Updos, weddings, makeup, I did things for TV, commercials, this and that. And then after doing it, I think you have to do it to realize and figure out what you're great at. And it's okay to not be great at everything.
Some people that say stick to your genius zone, stick to what you're a genius at.
Yes.
If it's not hairdos, if it's not the updos or whatever, why would you waste your time and energy on something that your heart is not into it?
I couldn't agree more.
So it sounds like you're getting all, like you've got all these keys per se, right?
Yes.
You're honing in on your genius zone. You know what it is. You've also taken bits and pieces, like you've learned. You've been a sponge in essence. You've been absorbing from mentors or peers or whatever to get you to where you're at. Your own spin.
And I think it's also important. I think like what's helped me too is like by travel. I feel like it's really important to put yourself in different environments so you can see what goes on outside of our own little bubble, our own little world.
Speaking of growing,
yes.
I know we're not going to talk too much about it. We're not going to touch on it, but I know that somebody is planning on growing. Well, we're always growing, right? We're always growing. We're always expanding. But this year, you're intentionally saying, I'm going to grow. I know you don't want to talk too much about it, but can you give us a little hint of what it is?
You put me on the spot. I mean, this year was definitely, it was definitely about growth. I wanted to grow emotionally. I wanted to push myself and grow physically. I wanted to get to a point where I was able to connect and reach more people, because I feel like for a while my goal was to build, and I feel like I'm always focused on that, which I still am focused on that, but I feel like, you know, I've been like super thankful and super blessed and super fortunate. And I want to maintain those relationships and, you know, maintain what I have going on. However, I wanted to push myself a little bit further.
Yeah. Outside the
Push
comfort
the
zone.
envelope. And work on something that is really important to me and something that I think can help a lot of my clients, help me, help a lot of people I know. And there's definitely a market for it. So I'm excited to get that together later in the year.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Here's a real serious question.
No, I can't answer serious questions.
How's the love life? How's the love life? We want to know. Do we have a chance?
Wait,
for this
do we open this now?
I love how she dodged that question, right?
Hold up. It's tricky.
Now, is it tricky because you're so busy with just working on all these, you got your
That
business,
is.
your daughters, and then you're working on this new project?
It is. I mean, it is. I think it is tricky because of that. I think it's tricky because I am really busy. I think another thing is I have 2 kids. I mean, I feel like this last year, one of the lessons I learned was we don't have to have everything figured out. And I'm just in a place right now where I feel like everyone I meet, everyone I see, it's just like, it's all a part of the journey.
Yeah.
So instead of like looking at like long term and like big picture, I'm just, even if it's a temporary happiness, I just want to enjoy and be happy.
In the moment.
Yeah, and I feel like, exactly, and I feel like so often people are like, oh, well, who are you dating, or do you have a boyfriend? Boyfriend does not always equate happiness.
No.
I feel like people should ask, like, are you happy?
Neither does money.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. It's so true. So I feel like my focus right now is being happy, and just like one day at a time. I feel like big picture, I feel like it's all eventual, it's all gonna work out. I really do have faith and I believe in that. I feel like I don't need to push, I don't need to press. I feel like whoever I'm meant to be with, they're gonna find me.
I love that.
And they're gonna be really happy. I'm excited for this year because I feel like there's so many more lessons I'm gonna learn.
Right.
And I look forward to the future.